Welcome to Film Feast, the show where two sister grill masters watch a movie, yap about it, and then make two recipes inspired by it. In today's episode, we're talking all about the 1980 classic, The Shining.
One of the best horror movies of all time.
This one actually is super, super creepy.
Oh, 100%. This is like one of the scariest movies of all time.
It still scares me to this day, and I've seen it a gazillion times.
Yeah, it's like the music, it's the vibe, it's the thought of all of it. It's like putting yourself in the position of everybody in that movie.
It's Tony's not here, Mrs. Torrance. I'm sorry.
It's that kid?
Like the kid, yes.
Like just great casting on that kid. If you have not seen The Shining before, The Shining is about a man who gets hired as a caretaker to look after a hotel over the winter, and they don't have guests at the hotel, so the family goes up there. They're isolated for the entire winter. They've got lots of food with them. That sounds like what could possibly happen.
That sounds like an introvert's dream come true. Me and you could do that so easily.
That's, to me, I'm like, what, you're getting paid to be there on your own.
You have access to the pantry with all the foods. That scene with the pantry with showing all the foods, as a kid, I loved that.
I love the thought of being in that beautiful high-end hotel and you could go anywhere you want at any moment. Night, day, you could walk around.
But then you walk around and all of a sudden you see those two twins looking your way and oh my goodness, that changes everything.
And all of a sudden you're like, okay, I get why he's getting paid to be here because something's wrong with the Overlook Hotel.
So my recipe that I made that is inspired by the movie The Shining comes from and is inspired by a line in the movie that almost was cut from the movie.
What?
And it's also one of the most famous lines, not in just in this movie, in cinematic history.
Here's Johnny. I feel like yours is going to be better than mine. Because I was like, this is hard
I thought that you were going to... I literally thought, because our brains are connected, I was like, what I'm making is going to be what you're making.
I was like, mine is kind of lame.
Okay, mine are always lame. Yours are way better. But yes, the line... Here's Johnny when Jack Nicholson is barging through the door and pops his head through and says, here's Johnny. My recipe.
What is it?
Is here's Johnny Cakes. Did I not nail that?
Absolutely nailed it.
Johnny Cakes is a thing, okay? It's basically Pancake's cornmeal cousin.
That sounds so good.
Stanley Kubrick didn't get the reference. He didn't understand. Like, that was an ad-libbed line. So he didn't understand what that's from, which how can you not know what that's from?
What's that from?
It's, what?
What? I thought he was just saying that.
But it's from the introduction to The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
But why would he say that smashing through the door?
Because he wanted it to sound like so psychotic. It's like such an upbeat thing to say, but in like a psychotic tone.
Okay,
yeah, so
now I get it.
Jack Nicholson, it just popped out.
See, you get things from the movie. I've seen that movie 100 times and I never knew that.
Did you know that?
And that is awesome.
Okay, they can be sweet, they can be savory. Even though I'm sweet as pie, I went in a savory, spicy direction.
Ooh, so what's in them?
I just added some chilies, some dried chili peppers, because I feel like that makes everything better.
So what is a Johnny cake? Is it like a cake that you slice?
The name is kind of misleading. It's not a cake, but it's like you know how pancakes are not cake? Like they are, but they're made on a griddle. Sometimes Johnny cakes can also be called hoe cakes.
I've heard of hoe cakes.
Yeah, which I was like, why is it called a hoe cake? Like that name.
So that's something to do with farming.
I'm guessing, but like cool logic. So it actually comes from the fact that a griddle back in the day sometimes used to be called a hoe griddle.
Okay.
So it's basically just a pancake that is made on a griddle, but that has the addition of cornmeal. Now, I don't know why, but I am obsessed with the flavor of cornmeal.
The girl loves her cornmeal.
With the texture of cornmeal. It's my favorite binder.
That's why Maddie just gave me a giant bag of cornmeal. I'm like, why did you give this to me? This is like your entire personality.
Give it back then. Give it back then, because it is my personality.
She
I
loves
love me a cornmeal.
Yeah.
I love me a cornmeal. But so these are super easy. It's basically just pancakes. There's no sugar though, which I was like,
so sweetness comes from the corn?
Yes. So and cornmeal, it does have like a naturally
I have to make these.
Sweet. Are you gonna make them?
Oh my god, that sounds so good.
Yeah, and technically you can also make them gluten-free if you use gluten-free flour.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That sounds really good. Oh man, that's going to be really, really good.
They were so delectable. As soon as I was trying to figure out what I was going to do for this movie, because surprise, surprise, it was hard to come up with an idea.
It was.
Because that scene where they're walking through the Overlook Hotel's pantry, I was like, okay, this idea, this idea, this idea. What do I come up with? But I was like, I liked the line, here's Johnny, and I was like, throw a Johnny Cakes in.
Love it. That's why I love this series, because you never really know what direction this could be taken in.
Exactly.
And that is a very, very, very popular line from the movie.
Did I nail it on creativity this time?
Absolutely nailed it.
Sometimes I don't.
No, you don't. You don't, but you definitely did for this one. Did he have pancakes in that scene where she brings him breakfast and he's like eating it? That makes me want breakfast so bad.
Me
And he's
too,
like chomping on that bacon and dipping it in the egg. I'm like, oh, that
I almost was going to make that too, but I'm like, that's so like plain.
Mine's
bacon
pretty
and egg.
plain.
More
Mine's
than
pretty
Johnny
plain.
Cakes,
Wait
buddy.
till you, yeah. Yeah, that has a lot of creativity to it.
Does
was
it?
there pancakes on that plate? I don't remember. I think it was just eggs and bacon.
I think it might have just been toast, but something else that I was going to make. Jack Nicholson, 2 weeks leading up until shooting this movie, he ate nothing but cheese sandwiches.
Why?
Because he doesn't like cheese sandwiches, which, what the heck? Who doesn't like a cheese sandwich?
Yeah, what?
Because since he doesn't like them, he wanted to get in the zone to be playing like an angry, aggravated character.
So cheese makes him mad.
Apparently.
Okay, very interesting.
Yes.
Didn't this movie wreck Shelley Duvall?
Okay, that's sad, but it did. Because apparently Stanley Kubrick, a genius in his time. Okay, yeah, sorry.
Like, is it an English muffin?
I took this to the next level because as I was making them, I was like, okay, these look amazing, but I'm like, it's giving like English muffin vibes.
Yes.
And when I see an English muffin, I gotta put an egg on top of it. Okay?
That looks so good.
It was absolutely
I
spectacular.
have to make these immediately.
Okay.
Like immediately.
Look at that.
That looks
Simple
so good.
and delectable.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, getting back to Shelley Duvall, Stanley Kubrick, apparently, he is a genius. We all know that. He was extremely hard on all of the actors on the movie. He was known to make them do like millions and millions of takes each time. You know that scene where she's like swinging around the bed? Mm-hmm. She had to do that and scream like over 100 times. That in itself, wouldn't that make you go crazy?
Yes, and being in that headspace, like I never know how actors do it. Like if you're a good actor and you feel like you believe what you're doing, mentally, I don't know how you could just be like, all in a day's work, I'm going home. The Shining was so multi-layered and why it was so scary.
Okay, but a thing today that I feel like if you're Gen Z, I feel like this movie, you might watch it and be kind of bored with it. And
no one Gen Z is watching this.
I know, but I know. But the reason why I say that is because when I was watching it, even as a 39-year-old woman, some of the scenes are so long. Mm-hmm. Like that intro of them driving to the Overlook Hotel, I literally was like, Kate.
I know.
Like what is, like all of our attention spans are limited now.
But it's to build it up.
Exactly. So I understand that. And I get why they did that because they have to also show the Overlook Hotel is like, it is isolated.
Yes.
It is up on this mountain. Which, speaking of the Overlook Hotel, it's called the Timberline Lodge, and I found that so cool that I immediately jumped to Google, immediately went on the website, and was surprised to find out they are not at all trying to claim that they were in the movie The Shining.
What? Well, maybe they don't want people to stay there.
Exactly. So they like treaded lightly back in 1980 when this movie was shot. They did not want the room, the freaky, scary room, to be 217 because that is the number of the room in the Stephen King novel. And they didn't want that because they were like, when guests come to the Timberline Lodge, they're going to be like, I'm not staying in room 217.
Yeah. So
they switched it for the movie to room 237 because there is no 237 at the Timberline Lodge. I'm like, that is genius.
That is so cool.
So cool. And I found it interesting, though, that there's not anywhere that I could see on the website that said, as seen in the movie The Shining.
But that makes sense to me. Because part of me is like,
but
you
why?
think that you'd use that?
Yeah, why wouldn't you use that? Like, the horror aficionados would go there just for that.
Okay, but that is a very small niche group of people.
True.
The majority of people are going to be like, I'm not going there. I don't want to stay in that place.
True,
I don't want to see terrifying twins looking down the hall.
Yeah.
I don't want to see, hello, Mrs. Torrance.
Yes.
Like, I don't want to see any of that.
Okay, also, and did you know, Danny created that. So
Is Danny mental?
No, okay, so Danny actually was told when he was 5 when he shot this movie. So he was told he was shooting a drama movie, not a horror movie, because they were trying to protect him because a 5-year-old's brain isn't ready to understand like what a horror movie is.
Yeah.
But even with that being said, he still knew to put a scary edge onto his imaginary friend. So he's the one that made his imaginary friend his little finger, and he started going like that and changed the voice.
That is crazy.
And that is one of the most iconic things about this movie.
Yes.
Stanley Kubrick, I think, gets all the credit, but technically this is a Stephen King book.
Yeah.
And it's technically Jack Nicholson, Shelley Duvall, and Danny, they put a lot into this movie, so he can't take all the credit.
You're forgetting about Doc.
No, not Doc. He called Danny Doc.
Oh, yeah, that's right. What's that guy's name?
I got confused by that, too. I forget his name. But the guy that also had, like, the shining power that Danny had is also one of an iconic character.
It's sad that we don't know his name.
I know, and I did look it up, but I do forget it.
Yeah, because I thought, I assumed, but you're right. He does call Danny Doc.
Yeah, he calls Danny Doc.
Yeah, no, that guy's phenomenal.
Let's move on to, now you have me intrigued on what you made, because usually Key brings the creativity, and she's saying hers is lame this time, which I'm excited about that.
Okay. Okay, so I was thinking about so many different ways that I could take this at, because you're right, when they're talking about, so the guy that calls Danny Doc, we don't know his name, when that guy is in the fridge with them and he's going over the different things that they have, the bacon and egg scene, there's so many different parts that I could draw from, but one part in particular always makes me want this food, when that guy asked Danny.
Wait! Can I guess?
Sure.
Is it cream of wheat?
No.
Okay, because he mentions cream of wheat, and I don't even like cream of wheat, and that always made me want cream of wheat.
Yeah, see, he mentions lots of foods.
Yes.
Lots of foods could be made from this movie. He asked Danny, what's your favorite food, Doc? What does Danny say?
What does he say?
French fries and ketchup.
Oh, yeah! Okay, I swear to goodness, initially I was like, that's my thing. But
what?
I swear to goodness, I was going to make that.
I made
But as the movie went,
yeah.
I was like, there's so many different ideas.
So I made French fries and smoked ketchup.
Okay, that is not lame, buddy. That's way better than Johnny Cakes. Are you kidding me?
No, but it's just like
Tell her that's better than Johnny Cakes.
Yeah,
it is.
No, I quite literally just made French fries and ketchup. Like, that's not creative.
Smoked ketchup is like a game changer.
Oh boy, is it ever.
Oh my, you went crinkle cut too?
I had to. This needed a frozen French fry.
Wow, and she hit us with the garden tomatoes.
Okay, so I just happened to have an abundance of these beautiful heirloom tomatoes available. And if you're gonna go through the trouble of making your own ketchup, you gotta start with the good tomatoes. You can't go cheap on the tomatoes.
Agreed. The tomatoes make all the difference.
Yeah, so you don't wanna go all yellow because you do want that bright red ketchup-y color.
And I feel like the yellow ones are like too sweet. It would taste like a smoked plum sauce or something, because like the yellow ones, they're good, but they're so high in sugar.
Yes. And I never think of eating French fries and ketchup as like an entire meal.
I do.
But when that kid
throw
says
some mayo on the side, you got yourself a fun evening.
Yeah, but whenever I've seen that movie and that kid says French fries and ketchup, I'm like, I gotta have it. And it doesn't, nothing hits like a frozen French fry.
Yeah, but those aren't frozen French fries.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, are they?
I didn't make that.
Oh, buddy, you could have had us all thinking you made those.
What? I think they're new. They're like XL crinkle cut.
Okay, because I was going to say, what is with that like extra ruffly flavor?
Yeah, they kind of had like a waffle cut vibe, but I think they're called XL crinkle.
They look like crinkle cut extreme or something.
So I was going to make like an oven wedge to go with this, but I'm thinking
I
like
love a crinkle cut.
The Overlook Hotel had bags and bags of frozen French fries. So I was like, I got to go with a crinkle cut.
Okay, but in the movie, did you ever wonder, like, so are these people not eating anything fresh for the entire winter?
I don't think they are.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
I didn't
see any lettuce. There's no way to keep that for the whole winter.
Or maybe they started out with fresh stuff, ate through it, and then went to the freezer stuff. But you have
to eat that within like 2 weeks. Yeah. Lettuce, onions and garlic could like last.
Carrots. Why are we logically going through what they ate?
Because I'm like, could I have done it with you? I 100% could do it.
The beginning, it sounds like what could possibly go wrong when he's being interviewed by that man at the hotel, and he's talking about like the pay he's gonna get. He gets to bring his family. I remember when I first saw this movie, I was like, that sounds like a sweet gig. All he has to do is stay there, and then
he's trying to write a book. So I'm like, it's like the perfect case scenario.
Although the only thing I didn't get, and maybe you could explain this to me, or you could explain this to me, is in the very end when he's looking in that photo and then he's in the photo. Is he a ghost or
Yeah,
what?
I know. Like, I didn't really understand that, but apparently what it was supposed to represent is that the hotel had absorbed him and he had fulfilled his destiny on what he was always supposed to do, which is like kill his family. But he didn't kill his family.
He tried.
Exactly.
He tried with all his might.
Which I have to say, going back to when I first saw this movie, I 100% thought that Danny and Wendy were gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
me
I
too.
thought for sure. I'm like, there ain't no way those two are making it out.
Well, when they show the climate that hotel is
Yeah,
in,
I'm like,
where are they going to go?
Exactly. What is your scariest part in this movie? Because mine, for sure, even though there's like a million in here,
Yeah.
the bathroom scene in room 237.
That ruined me.
That absolutely ruined me.
From the hideously scary old lady and her body, and she's got like welts and sores and like that.
What caused that?
Then to her laugh.
Oh my goodness.
That absolutely ruined me.
Yep.
I can't say that. That's one of the parts I have to skip ahead now.
Me too. I know. Even as an adult, I'm like, keep going. Not today.
Another really scary part. When Danny is like going through his little like tricycle thing, and then goes down the hall initially, and you see those like twins,
Yes.
and like that. Anything to do with those twins?
You tell me you can walk down a long hotel hallway and not think of that scene. To this day, I still think about it.
That's why I love The Shining 2 now, watching it in today's day, is also like that bathroom, very outdated.
Mm-hmm. I know, but
Interesting to look
that's
at.
what I love about watching these classics, and I hope you're watching them along with us, because this is just super fun to go back and watch them. People's mouths back then. Brown teeth. Crooked teeth. I find it refreshing. I'm sick of seeing the fake veneers that Hollywood now is all about. I like a crooked tooth.
Yeah.
I like regular looking teeth colors, okay? Like the shade of teeth. It's not all perfect white, but you know what is perfect? That smoked salsa, man.
Look at that. It's
Or
not salsa.
Sorry, you're telling me you couldn't get some chips and dip that in there?
Look at the texture, though.
Buddy.
Okay, so depending on how wet your tomatoes are, some tomatoes have more water than others. You might need to simmer that down after you smoke the tomatoes and then blend it up. But I thought the texture was absolutely spot on.
Nailed it.
I sweetened mine with dates.
You did still sweeten it.
I did still sweeten it because ketchup is 90% sugar.
Sweet and tang.
Yes.
Sweet and tang.
Yeah, so it was absolutely phenomenal.
Can I ask you now, are you ever going back to regular ketchup?
Probably not. This
Yeah.
is like adult ketchup. This is like ketchup made for adults. It's got more complexity than store-bought ketchup. And store-bought ketchup is like very childish. It's just one note, sugar.
Oh, this is like 87 notes in one. I'm here for it.
And it wasn't too smoky too. I thought it was gonna, initially I was like, oh, is it gonna be too smoky? Not too smoky whatsoever.
Which movie are we doing next? Which movie should we do next? Because we're on a Stephen King journey.
Okay, do we want to take a break from Stephen King and take a hard detour to the 90s?
Okay.
Scream.
Okay.
I'm in it for Scream.
Okay.
Okay, 1 and 2? Or
Ned
just one?
Campbell, Skeet Ulrich. Oh my goodness gracious. No, I don't want to. I want this to be a
good.
sequel, a no sequel zone.
All right, 1. I'm here for it. I don't know what I'm going to make yet, but I think there's a lot of options for that one too.